Jack Daniels, good old No.7. But is it really any good? Hello and welcome to another Foxy Reviews video. I am Foxy and bad hair day. I've been rehearsing a lot, working a lot, trying to learn lines. So I haven't had much time to do anything. Hence why there's no green screen this time either. This review we're going to be talking about the one, the only, Jack Daniels. I know what you're thinking. It's a small bottle. No, I've just got big hands. So today we are looking at Jack Daniels Quality Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. Now most people who have ever tasted a liquor will have tried this at least once. It is world famous and probably one of America's best known brands. A lot of people, especially in England, Scotland and Ireland, when they order a whiskey are given a Jack Daniels. Although Jack Daniels brand itself as a whiskey, it is actually a bourbon, and to these whiskey snobs, a bourbon is not as good as a whiskey. So what is a bourbon? What makes Jack Daniels a bourbon and not a whiskey? Well, it is actually both a bourbon and a whiskey, whereas some things such as Glenfiddich or Jameson's are both whiskies, but are not bourbons. You see, all bourbons are whiskies, but not all whiskies are bourbons. You need to follow certain rules to be having the lofty title of a bourbon. 1. Must be made in the USA. Thus the rest of us, not even possible to be classed as bourbons, so does this make it elite or crap? Number 2. Must contain corn. 51% corn. 3. Must be aged in new oak charred barrels. 4. Must be distilled to no more than 160 proof and entered into the barrel at 125 proof. Number 5. Must be bottled at no less than 80 proof. Number 6, and the final one, must not contain any added flavourings, colours or other additives. Now, am I the only one that's confused here? It must be made in the USA but can't contain any of the E numbers and everything else that you put in all your supposedly good things like Gatorade. So you can see why some whiskey enthusiasts turn their nose up at bourbons. A bourbon is a product of America and thus seen as inferior. An interesting fact, Jack Daniels bottles do not have dates on them. Go on. Next time you're in a pub, next time you buy a bottle and you're going to all have Jack Daniels in the eyeball with your mates, check. There'll be no date on it. And this is because Jack felt a date should not dictate when a batch is ready. More the look, smell and taste. Even today, this is how they know it is ready. It has to pass the lips of the master testers. That's right. They drink. It's someone's job to drink. I want that job. A lot of people have queried why his most famous and classic version is old No.7 brand. Some people claim it was due to him being a notorious bachelor and had 7 girlfriends. Others say it was a No.7 train that carried his drink, whilst others believe he lost a batch and found it 7 years later. Unfortunately, we will never know. The true story was buried when Jack himself was put in the ground. One of the most curious facts is that Jack Daniels is distilled in a dry county. Moore County, Lynchburg, Tennessee. This place has a ban on all sales of alcohol. This is since Prohibition, and in the early 1900s the whole of Tennessee was a dry state. Jack Daniels has a net income of over £121 million, and in 2013 their output was 11 million cases. That's a lot of whiskey. Of course, if you enjoy your Jack, then you can actually purchase a whole barrel for the very low price of only $10,000, which is equivalent to, at current time of going to video, around £6,900. It does provide you with 240 bottles of whiskey out of it, which works out at about $42 or £29 a bottle. So maybe it's not that cheap. But you get a whole barrel. And you can even go and pick the exact barrel that you want. Bargain. So what does it taste like? Only one way to find out. Like shit. Only joking. It is quite a sweet whiskey, with some nutty tones and a smooth finish. However, this, in my view, is not for a straight drink. This is a mixer, much like other cheaper products such as Bell's or Teachers. If you want a sipping whiskey, you have to go single malt. Now this is where I'll show you some other brands of whiskey that are single malt. Problem is, I've drunk them all. So this has been much more of an information video than a review, but I did give my opinion out there. This is a mixing whiskey, not a sipping whiskey. It's cheap. Go for Scottish, single malt, Irish even. You've got to go local. Unless you're in America and then it's not quite so local. But you should still make the effort and go single malt. So just to end, there's been a bit of social media gathering, a bit of momentum to rename Jack Daniels and Coke Lemmy. I'm all for this. I'm a barman. I do work in the bar when I'm not doing anything else that I should be doing in my life. And if any of you guys fancy coming into that pub and you order a Lemmy, you will get a Jack and Coke from me. So Lemmy, this one's to you. Keep it rocking up there. On a side note, I might have just done that, but I haven't really got big hands. It was a small bottle. It's only a double shot. I'm not an alcoholic.
The pleasure is to play. Makes no difference what you say.